Welcome to the Warband, a World of Warcraft podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Swaglock, and with me today, as always, my good friend, Chicken. Dude, Chicken, how are you doing this morning?
I'm pretty good. How are you doing? Dude, I can definitely tell that the shift in your voice is a lot different than the shift in my voice.
Yeah, probably
like you definitely sound like you're like dead inside, and I sound like I'm having the time of my life, which is typically the opposite.
Yeah, well, mornings, my voice takes a minute to wake up in the morning. I'm sure you've already been up helping your son get ready, get your wife situated.
I wrote a short story in my mind already this morning.
Yeah, dude, I rolled out of bed and then walked to my desk and sat down to record. So yeah,
bruh.
Yeah.
Bruh, I've been up and at it, dude. I took like two mile run this morning already. Like, whew.
In my defense, though, I was also up a little bit later raiding last night because somebody doesn't raid with us anymore. So I just want to put that out there. Just want to put it out there.
Dude, Wednesday I was in bed before you guys even started raid. How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel young, which is great. By the way,
it makes you feel young.
Yeah, it makes me feel very young. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, it kind of makes me feel older than you, to be honest.
Anyways, dude, what have you been up to this week? And wow.
Not too much. Just hanging out. Playing some good old World of Warcraft. Like, obviously, because you said what have I been up to in WoW. And yeah, dude, just getting on that grind, man. Starting to try to get in dungeons, nothing crazy, but yeah,
man, we're hitting that. We're kind of hitting the stride, I think, of the season, right? So we're seven weeks in, I think, if I remember that correctly.
This would be the 7th week, yeah.
So we're 7 weeks into the season. It's that point where, like, really, at this point is when I start trying to challenge myself. Go like, okay, I've hit my normal goals mostly. Right, I've hit my normal goals. Now, how do I go beyond that, right? So, how are you feeling in dungeons at the moment? Like, does Mythic Plus, is it still enjoyable for you? Do you feel like you're pushing yourself a little bit further? Do you think you're having trouble this season? What's, like, your overall, like, temperature of this season?
Yeah. So, here's my biggest problem, and it's a me problem, definitely, 100%. This is 100% my problem, and I've talked about this before.
Yes, it is. I don't even know what the problem is, but everything's a skill issue with you, Chicken.
No, oh my gosh, no, it's not a skill issue because every single dungeon I get in, I'm literally like the second DPS in the group, and it's because I'm running dungeons that I'm just way overgeared for. And the problem is I just can't get into dungeons and I could easily run my own key, but I have a mother load right now and I'm trying to get it swapped to something else so I can run my own key because I'm trying to get Keystone Master without doing one of the dungeons. And easily. Huh?
Is there like, is it the personal challenge of doing it, or do you just hate that dungeon?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. It's a little bit of a personal challenge, but I also just don't want to do the mother load. Like, I really don't want to do that dungeon.
That makes sense, dude.
I mean, I guess
I'm like starting to run 12s, right? And my mother load is still a 7, which is, and by the way, though, mother load isn't even that bad of a dungeon. It's like not that bad. Mother load is fine.
Just weird.
I think
right?
that, yeah, and I think I'm tanking like all my keys. Obviously, I'm not running DPS. And so I think it's extra intimidating. I don't know if you're still tanking or if you went back to Unholy. But it's definitely
tank, baby.
Yeah, Motherload is definitely one of those ones where, like, as a tank, you're like, okay, there's just a lot going on. And if I don't know this dungeon, I really don't feel like learning this dungeon. But I think I've got most of it figured out at this point. The only problem is that last little run at the end with the bombs, that intimidates me. And I know I'm doing it right, but it feels like I'm doing it wrong. And so because of that, I've kind of avoided Motherload. So again, all my keys are at least 10.
Interesting.
I've got a good handful of 11s. I'm pushing 12s now. I got 112. But I like timed, 112 timed at least. I've got a couple 12s completed, right? But like, dude, I just can't, like, I can't bring myself to do a Motherload. And I think I need to. Maybe this is the week I get over it. But I'm guessing you're in the same boat where as a tank, the route in there just seems a little overwhelming.
No, well, to be honest, I've never ran Motherload whatsoever. Like, I've never ran that dungeon, even once. So I don't even know what the route is. I've just heard that it's really not the greatest tanking dungeon, so I'm like, I just don't really want to do it yet.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Like it's such a stupid excuse. Like it is literally not like it doesn't make sense at all. I just don't want to do it.
Just don't want to do it.
And it's also kind of a challenge. Like, can I get KSM with like basically? I think I need like at least 2 time 10s to do it.
Yeah, something like that. You're gonna need multiple 10s. I did that. Oh gosh, when did I do that? I did that a while back. I had this fun habit for a while where I would push either KSM. I'm trying to remember if I did it for a KSH one time, but I think it's only ever been KSM. KSM. I think it's only ever been KSM, where I love to like push my rating right to the edge, right? Like right to the edge of KSM, getting 7 dungeons done, and then I'll run a random +2 with a bunch of guildies and not tell them, and then get KSM from that +2.
Oh my gosh.
I did that for I think two seasons, and that one was kind of funny.
Honestly, I could probably run a +2 mother load and get KSM like today if I wanted to.
Do it.
Like easily.
KSM
but I
today.
don't want to do it.
No, KSM today. KSM today. You're learning mother load. When you listen to this podcast next week, Chicken. Actually, by the time you listen to this podcast today, when you're listening, Chicken will already have KSM from doing mother load. It's gonna happen.
Maybe I might queue as a DPS for my 8 because I really need to get it to a 10. Because like I just can't get accepted to 10s, and it's because I only have like a 1900 IO rating, and people are like, "This guy shouldn't be doing 10s. You just know what he's doing."
Oh, dude, yeah,
like,
bro, yeah. You know what? You know what? I'm gonna give you a hard time. You were complaining about having a hard time getting into groups earlier, and you're literally avoiding one dungeon. Which, by the way, the answer to that is just listing your key, right? Like that's how I got away with it. Whenever I would do those seasons where I would like wait for one dungeon for KSM to do the 2. I just ran my own key all the time, and then I found that +2 to get KSM. But yeah, dude, if you ran like a 5 or something, what you're at 19?
Yeah, dude, I could literally run a 2 mother load.
Yeah, dude, run the 2 mother load, and you're fine.
No, because I really need to bump up my 8 mother load, and that's why I don't list my own key because I really just don't want to do mother load. Dude, I got so close to switching it last night. I ran an 8 Theater of Pain because I think I have like a 7 Theater of Pain.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'll just run this 8 real quick and swap it out, right?
Yeah.
And then we get to the last boss. Like everyone's completely under geared. Like I'm doing as much DPS as all the DPS. Like I'm pretty sure I like was second on the DPS.
I don't know if that's a
chart.
gearing issue. Blood DK damage is pretty good this season.
No. They definitely said they were alt gearing. Like they definitely were like, oh yeah, we're alt gearing right now.
Yeah, even still, blood damage is really good this season. Like I'm always keeping it.
Yeah, I wasn't doing crazy numbers. I was like sub 2 million, but still
like when I did my 12, I'm pretty sure I was pretty on par with a lot of the group.
Yeah. Anyways, we get to the freaking last boss, and literally like we had like a good like 4 minutes left, right? And then literally the whole group wipes on like halfway through the boss, and then I just solo tank the rest of it. And I'm like, this is very unfortunate. So I didn't get to swap my key, which I really wanted to so badly. But yeah, I'll probably just run it today as a DPS.
That last boss of Theater of Pain is such an interesting one. Yeah, and I feel there's a few bosses like that, because when I do that fight, that does not feel like a hard fight.
No, it's not.
It does feel in many ways like a rage fight, I think, right? Where it's kind of like, oh, position here, then this happens to position here.
Yeah,
and this
it does actually.
Here, right?
I was trying to think. Yeah.
And so maybe that's what throws people off, and it's definitely maybe a little bit more Final Fantasy-esque in the sense of like you kind of do your little dance, right? Yeah. But man, dude, to me, it's an easy fight. You just kind of tank her in the corner. She does her little blast, especially as a Blood DK tank, right? Like if you're tanking that key, right? When the ads come out, just Gorfine's grasp them, right? Then when the next set of ads come out, just use slappy hands, and then next set, I think you have Gorfine back up. If you don't have Gorfine, then like just grip the 2 furthest ones, right? Interrupt another, right? Like it, I don't know, man. To me, it's like that's like the easiest fight, but then people die to the craziest things. They die to the craziest things. So one of the issues on that fight, and I think you've noticed it, is the beam that goes out from the boss is bugged. So the beam is bugged,
totally bugged.
where it shoots out, and then it will jump. Like, it will jump pretty hard. And I ran it on, I think the last time I ran it was like a 10 or an 11. I know I have it timed on 11, but I think the last time I ran it was a 10. And one of the DPS died from it. And they're like, oh, the beam's bugging out, it's jumping. And I'm like, yeah, dude, it's been doing that the whole season. Like, it's been doing that like all season long. That's not new. How are you in this key and not aware of that? But also at the same time, I'm like, okay, well, the beam only at most, and I don't even think at most it does. I think at most it would move in a half circle, right? And I'm pretty sure it does. Mm-hmm. I think it moves in a quarter circle, right? I'm pretty sure it's like a
something like that. Yeah.
Right. So it's moving in the quarter circle. All you have to do is be behind the boss.
Yeah, dude. Just it's not
like
that hard.
Who the heck is trying to like, because you see where it's gonna go, then it shoots forward for a second. Just get behind the boss and you're safe every time. Right?
It's not that hard.
I don't know. It's one of those fights though, for sure, where you have to be thinking ahead. It's not a reactionary fight, and I think that's what screws up a lot of people. Is a lot of people think very reactionary. So they're like, I'll wait till this happens and then I'll run out of the way. But that's a fight where you go, oh, the beam's coming up. Let me go move over here because I know the beam will do this. Or, oh, hey, those ads spawned on the map that run across the map. Let me position myself so I'm not going to be where they're running, right? Rather than go, oh, crap, this guy's coming up to me. Let me try to jump out of the way. It's like, oh, nope, I know he's going to run here. I'm going to stand over here. He hasn't even run yet, but I know where he'll go. Or last one, right? When the ads come up and the big circles appear, right, around the ads, you know that's going to happen, right? So, like, as soon as you see those ads come up, just be like, oh, let me just step into where I generally think a safe area will be. And then if you're wrong, if you're still kind of in the circle, at that point, it's like 2 steps and you're out of it. So that's not even like an issue, right? So that fight is extremely, like, you have to predict ahead what's going to happen. And I do think those fights are where, especially in keys, you see people struggle. For sure in raid, that's another one. Like in raid, we see people struggle. But yeah, that one's hard because I don't even think that's that hard of a boss. I mean, I don't think any boss in that dungeon is particularly difficult.
Yeah, but they're all like kind of position based, aren't they?
Yeah, that is true. I mean, a little bit more reactionary, right? Like the first set of the bosses. Right, you just kind of kite them around the edge. They're easy.
The first one's easy. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right, if you're going the war quarter first, that second boss, he's not. I mean, like, you know, I think he might be a little bit more reactionary because you can't really predict because you have to kind of go, okay, I know he's gonna hit his frontal, but I don't know where he's hitting his frontal, right? So you kind of have to move out of that one. The circle, you kind of, but again, you don't even know which one because he's not always doing it in the same rotation, right? His rotation is kind of random. And then if you go down the plague quarter next, that guy, sorry, I burped on the podcast. That guy, he is definitely, I think, a little bit more prediction based, right?
He's rough though.
Yeah, right. Like he kind of has that tank buster, which you have to watch out for. He's got those ads that jump around.
Dude.
The ads
I hate that boss.
Oh, he's not. I don't think he's too hard. I think the thing maybe people struggle with is just those chains, right? When the meat hooks are coming, but the meat hooks come down and they stay there for a few seconds before they move. So when they come down, you just go, oh, I put myself right here. The one thing I've had to learn on that boss is if the ads are going after my team and I'm not quite ready for the tank buster, I'm not positioned myself, you just got to let the ads go for your teammates for a second and get yourself prepared.
Yeah, they don't do a lot of damage.
No. And also, like, I don't know, if I was playing any other tank, I'm not really sure what I'd do. It's easy on my DK because I'm like, grip, hey, you're mine now, right?
Yeah, dude, it's kind of weird. How do other tanks do that? How do other tanks just grab stuff? They don't, I guess.
Yeah, well, I think, oh gosh, Warriors have I think Warrior has AoE taunt, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, you have an AoE taunt, but then like you can also like do the charge towards them, but then like that doesn't really help.
No, then that messes up your positioning. Yeah.
Yeah, monks, and then you have heroic leap, and
monks have Black Ox, right? Monks have their statue.
That's true.
Black Ox statue, and then you have like paladins probably just throw shields around. I mean, I'm sure people deal with it. I just do grippy hands is like, dude, I love death grip, man. That is such a good
It is a really good talent, dude. Right?
And then when you pop a bomb limb, right, you got those slappy hands going around.
It's so good that it's a raid buff.
No, it's not a raid buff. Well, not raid buff this season, dude. There's nothing. There's not a single moment in raid this season where I'm using
Oh, that's true. Yeah, there isn't.
Except we're on heroic Gallywix right now. I mean, it's okay for stacking up the ads during the ad phase. But even there, they're
but
not
is it
really
necessary.
No, dude, you'd be absolutely fine with it. Absolutely fine. Like you probably wouldn't even notice. Nobody probably even cares that they have slappy hands on that
no one cares.
Yeah, dude. All I'm saying, Blizz, if you listen to this podcast, we brought it up maybe like 10 episodes ago or something. All I'm saying, Blizz, leech. That's your answer. If you're like, we don't know what raid buff to give DK, just give him leech. Two reasons here. One, it's cool and thematically on point. Two, it just gives them a raid buff so people shut up. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Give them like, I don't know, make them give everybody like 20% more leech or something.
20?
Well, leech isn't like a huge thing, right? Maybe give them 500% more leech.
Bro, stop. I was thinking like a percentage of leech based on like the boss's health or something, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it would, because it would have to be just listed as leech. It would actually, honestly, it probably wouldn't be a percentage of leech because that's a little hard to predict.
Yeah.
Because people who would like, if you have leech, that's great. If you don't have any leech, then that does nothing for you.
Yeah, it doesn't.
So it would probably just be a raw stat, right? It would probably be like,
that's what I was thinking. Yeah,
you get 800 leech, right, or something.
Yeah,
it would have to be.
Which I mean, that's really not that much, to be honest.
No, I just threw a number out there. It would have, but we want enough that like it's like, yeah, you know what, this might up our survival rates just the tiniest bit, right? Like relieve our healers just the teeniest bit,
just like a hair, literally like a hair, not really anything noticeable outside of maybe like mythic freaking liquid rating, right?
Yeah.
Well, but then
just enough that you can feel it, maybe, right? That you're like, oh, it's nice having this. But anyways, moving on.
Yeah. So before we move on, Blizzard, if you listen to this as well, give us plane tickets to Anaheim next September.
Oh yeah, that too. Listen, take us, and free tickets to BlizzCon.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure we can pay for that. The plane tickets are a little more expensive.
Dude, how are we paying for that? We haven't even launched the Patreon yet, dude.
I know, dude. I was looking while you were getting out of bed because I was like, I just gotta see how much these are. Whew. It's a bit.
Ooh.
It's a bit. I mean, we are going literally to the other side of the country.
That's true. I'm excited though, dude. I'm excited that we're having another BlizzCon.
Dude, did you know they're doing like an event in Boston?
I saw that. I almost said something to you. It's like this month, right? Or something, or next month?
Yeah, well, it's in early May.
Yeah, dude. I saw that. I almost considered asking you about it, but then May is just such a wild month for me.
Yeah, it is.
Like such a crazy month for me. I'm like, I can't pull this off.
Yeah. I looked at it a little bit, and it didn't seem like it was like anything crazy. It kind of was like, oh, hey, we're doing like this.
Seems like more like a big get together, yeah.
Yeah, and it was only like, it's like, oh, like it's only like 5 hours, and I'm like, is it really worth like driving to Boston from Philly for literally like we'd be on the road longer than we would be at the event probably.
It's their like 30th anniversary celebration, right? What are they calling that thing again?
It's called the Warcraft 30th anniversary world tour, and they call each place like a royale kind of. Join us at Royal. Oh well, no, that's the actual venue. Sorry, Royale.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, what are we actually doing, right? Like even when like I'm reading the thing right now, and it's like there's no info.
Yeah, right. No,
there's no info, right? I'm just gonna read. Let me just read some of the copy on this, right? It says, whether you're a lifelong player or a new adventurer, this is your chance to relive the nostalgia, connect with other community members, and immerse yourself in Warcraft like never before. Join us at the Royale Boston on May 10th for an evening celebrating 30 years of gaming history. Doors will open at 7 p.m. EDT, with the event activities continuing until 11 p.m. EDT. I just don't know what that means, which, by the way, though, like a Warcraft-specific event sounds awesome. I just don't know what that means, right?
No.
And
so does it mean Blizzard?
Yeah, so I'm like, do I really want to drive all the way up to Boston for that? I don't know.
For literally like 4 hours.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I need
Like,
to
come
know
on.
more. I need give me a promo video. Show me a taste of what to expect.
Show me the money. I'm curious of how much the tickets actually cost. Like, it doesn't say anywhere. But like, if it was like $20, then I'd be like, okay, $20 isn't
Dude, I
bad
think they're
if you're like
free.
around the area, right? But wait, what'd you say?
I think they're free.
Oh, you think it's free? Oh no, it says get tickets. Oh, do you think it was just like a free ticket?
It says get free tickets. Tickets will be released in waves with the first available on Thursday, March 27th at 1 p.m. EDT here. Tickets will go fast, so plan accordingly.
Oh,
right.
Well,
the thing says get free tickets, and then the only info it says is linking to where you would theoretically buy tickets, which tells me they're just free, generally.
Yeah, if it was free, I could understand why they went so quickly.
Yeah.
Anyways, but I mean, dude, I think we can go to BlizzCon.
Yeah,
like, I think we can.
That event is like going like, hey, I want to go to BlizzCon, and your mom's like, we have BlizzCon at Boston.
Yeah. Right.
Yep. And
it's
BlizzCon
not
at
the
Boston.
same, Mom.
It's not the same. Dude, what did the comments? Sorry, now I'm reading like the comments on their post. Yeah, one person. Dude, this is the most wow comment I've ever seen in my entire life. This is a Warcraft player through and through here, right? Player's name, Evil Bad Guy. Here's her comment.
Evil bad guy.
Evil Bad Guy. Right, level 50 Blood Elf Rogue. All right, you ready? The only thing I care about is if there are any cool in-game items / mounts from the virtual ticket.
Oh gosh.
Dude, dude.
Oh no.
Oh my gosh.
That is literally like the pinnacle of WoW player. Like, oh my gosh, do I get anything from this? Like, come on, is it even worth my time away from Azeroth to go to this event?
Dude, I love reading comments on WoW things because they're so gold, right? Okay, here's another one, right? Because in the copy for the event it says, or a new adventure. This is your chance to relive the nostalgia. And one dude comments, surely that's not how nostalgia works.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Dude, come on.
Yeah.
Surely that's
Dude, here's a good comment. Sorry, now we're just reading the comments, bro. We're just reading the comments. I don't even care.
This is the morning podcast.
Morning
guys.
podcast.
This is how it goes.
Yeah, maybe we need like maybe when we launch the Patreon and we do our bonus content, it's just us reading like Wowhead comments all day long. Anyways.
Oh my gosh.
Next comment. I'm there if they set up a real life version of the Barons. Okay, that'd be fantastic.
That is totally like a wow. I'm there. Only a WoW person would say that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh man, we could probably do this all morning, but that's not what the people came to listen to. Well, maybe it is. I don't know.
But I'm having a great time. What? This comment? Okay, wait.
One last comment.
No. Never mind.
Did it not make sense, or was it?
Yeah, it just didn't make sense. It just didn't make sense. Also, everybody's commenting about them putting Illidan on the marketing material for like, why is Illidan on there? Are we getting Illidan again? No, it's probably because Illidan's the most iconic character in their last 30 years, right? In terms of like a visual appearance.
Dude. No one's thinking about the jailer. Like, come on.
Yeah. This person's asking is it safe to go there? Like, is Boston safe? I don't know. I don't know what they mean. Yeah. Maybe the event's not safe, dude. Maybe this is actually a trap. Maybe they're trying to make more soul stones.
It's a trap.
Maybe they need more health stones. Their raid team's running low, so they set up this event in Boston.
Oh my gosh. That's the most nerdy WoW response I've ever heard.
Yeah. And supposedly it's going on at the same time as PAX East, but just like in a different building, right? And so I think the original announcement kind of made it sound like it was a part of PAX, but it's not, right? So like some people I guess had gotten tickets. Some people had gotten tickets because they were going to be at PAX. They're like, well, while I'm at PAX, I might as well have access to the WoW section, right? The Warcraft section. Yeah. And I guess then it came out that no, in order to do that, you would actually have to leave PAX and go down to this event and then come back or something.
Oh. And they were probably like, oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Never Never mind.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like this could have been something really cool, but the fact that you have like no clue what it is, it's kind of interesting.
Not even a hair inkling of what's gonna happen.
Just it's a Warcraft themed thing, right? And so I don't know. If it was like in like Philly, like if it was near us, 100%, dude, 100%. I'm just not going.
I could easily waste 4 hours of my life to go if it was in Philly.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Just maybe not go up to Boston for it, right? Then, because then you gotta get like a hotel and all this stuff.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I mean, especially since it's like 11 at night. Like, who's gonna freaking drive back from Boston? Like, drive overnight? Yeah, that's
You know, we're not all old men like you are. Let me just clarify. Not all old men.
Bro, you. Come on.
Anyways, dude, we got some real things to be. Oh, wait. I didn't tell you what I was up to this week. I didn't tell you what I was up to.
Oh, yeah, you didn't tell me what you were up to this week.
Yeah, man, dude. So we got Muggsy down, bro.
12.
Big hype. Yeah. We got Muggsy down on heroic. Barely. Literally. Like, I think we killed him with 1 second until the full group wipe was going to happen.
Ooh.
So, but you know what? We did it. We made it happen. Our guild pulled it off. It's been awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It's been fantastic. Now, I will note, dude, we have been having like so much healer trouble this season with our raid team. Yeah, just not like our healers are doing all right. Our healers are doing all right. It's just the like availability of our healers is really all over the place. So, it's really hard. We were already like kind of iffy on the line of having enough healers for the team. But then now
I thought it was the opposite this season. I thought we had like too many healers.
Well, we started off low, and then we got a bunch, but then we're back down to kind of like 5 a night. Which, by the way, I'm saying 5 a night, but we have like a 25-person group. Sometimes pushing higher into 27, depending on the night, right? But then usually 1 or 2 are like missing, right? So like last night we only had like 3 healers available last night for raid.
Yeah.
But we had like a 26-person group, and so I'm like, these numbers ain't numbering right now, man. The math ain't mathing. And so luckily Oreo popped in and joined us, which was nice. It was good.
Oh, that's really nice.
So can confirm first person POV, dude. No wonder why she does cutting edge rating.
Yeah.
Pumps healing. But so that helped cover it for the two missing healers that we had last night. But we got Muggsy down, which is awesome. And then, you know what's funny? With all the talk everybody gives, like we walked up to Gallywix, like, yeah, we got 45 minutes. We're killing Gallywix tonight, right? Because in our mind, we're like, if we can kill Muggsy, surely we can kill Gallywix. Dude, we were barely getting past 80% health on Gallywix. Like, barely getting past 8% health and then wiping. So, you know what? I'm happy. Part of me is kind of actually happy that we still have more prog to do. Because, like, part of me is like, yeah, we're going to kill this boss real fast. But then now part of me is also like, oh, but now I get to enjoy it. Now it gets to, like...
Never mind. It'll probably take another week.
Yeah, we'll probably do it next week, which will be fun. I think I mentioned it on the podcast last week. I don't remember. It's hard to keep track of where my conversations are anymore. But usually what happens is we'll start heroic, and we'll just have everybody with us. And then as we progress, we'll hit these pain points. And we'll be like, okay, at this point, look, we gotta trim the team down, people get it. We're hoping it's a better way to do it than just to be like, hey, we're going to heroic, only our best players can come, so you won't see any of it otherwise, right? It's better, I think, for us to be like, hey, we know these first 6 bosses aren't too bad. If you guys want to come run with us, why don't you come along, right? At this point, though, we got Muggsy down without making any cuts to the team, which has been good. Maybe we would have gotten Muggsy down faster if we had, but we got Muggsy down. And so the hope right now is that because we got Muggsy down without making any cuts, the hope, we'll see, is that we can also get Gallywix down without making any cuts. And it would be our first time, I think, running AOTC, where we just got to keep everybody with us the whole way through, which I think would feel really good for a lot of our players.
I think it would.
We have in our guild, we have a good number of players who, would not raid. If it wasn't for us, they would not. Like, they just wouldn't raid, right? Like, raiding wouldn't be the thing that they'd want to do. They just like hanging out with us. They like being with us. And so it always sucks, kind of like when we have to start making those cuts and like moving things around. And it's nice right now. Sorry, I'm just into the microphone, but it's nice right now being able to kind of have them with us till the end, right? To get the achievement together for them, especially a few of them really love it because they get to get the achievement, which is a big deal.
Yeah, it is. No, I mean it's I would hard say that getting heroic Gallywix with that group, with like a larger group, is even harder. But I mean it's a good kind of, it's a good vibe. I mean that's one of the only achievements I feel like I'm kind of proud to have. Like every other achievement I'm like like okay, like it's cool, but it's like, okay, like what does it actually mean, right? Like I got KSL, KSM, all these other guys, like what do these mean, right? Don't get me wrong, they're impressive, but like it's not like, oh, like everyone, well, not everyone. I mean a lot of people get KSM now. But like not only that is like, hey, I'm doing this like by myself, right? It's less of a you know, like a individual thing and more, well,
I think there's more
KSM
memory.
is an individual thing.
There's more memory attached
and less
to
of a
it.
and sorry if you can hear my freaking toddler upstairs making a earthquake out of our dining room chairs. But yeah, it's not. Yeah, you get what I'm saying. Like it's not like something that we can just say, hey, we can do this by ourselves, right? Kind of takes group coordination.
Yeah, and I think there's more memory. There's more memory attached to that. Like I don't know, man. When I was telling you earlier, right? Like I remember those dungeons I ran where I did like +2s to get KSM because it was funny. I remember that because it was like comedic, funny. I had friends with me. It was whatever. But I don't remember, like anytime I'm pushing like KSH right now. I'm trying to push KSL, right? Get my portals. I don't really remember those. All the dungeons kind of blur together, right? Like all the dungeons just kind of blur in. But man, dude, I could sit and talk about like every raid tier and the unique experiences of that raid tier. Like, and I think that's the fun of it. It's not even AOTC. Yeah. Like AOTC is just the goal that our guild pushes towards. Your guild might be pushing towards cutting edge. Your guild might be saying, no, we want to get 4 mythic bosses down. Your guild might be just saying, hey, look, we're just going into normal because we just need transmogs and it's fun. Whatever that is. But it's working together to overcome something over a period of time that becomes very, very memorable. So, like, I have AOTC right now already because Capo reached out to me and they needed literally just a body to stand there so they could get more loot from the bosses. That was all it was. I was only there just so they could have more loot from the bosses, which is fine. Like, I was happy to help, no problem. Right. And then like coincidentally, I got AOTC from it. But like, I don't care about that. Like that, like I like literally that AOTC means nothing to me. It's whatever, right? I'm not even like, dude, I wouldn't even walk into like a group because I could link it, right? You know, all those groups are like, need AOTC to come pug with us. I wouldn't even do that because like I want to finish this raid with my guild, right? Like I want to go in with my guild and complete this raid and have that celebration. You
wouldn't necessarily boast about it other than the fact that like, hey, I got to raid with like a pretty big content creator. Outside of that, it's not like, oh, I got AOTC with him. It's like, no, like I just got to be there and like be in his group chat. Like that's kind of cool.
Yeah, their guild was right. It was Growl, but I mean, it was just cool being in that environment, right? It was just cool sitting in DC, right, listening in on the conversation, trying to stay alive, watching them all play at such a high level and capacity that's like beyond what I'm personally capable of at this time, right?
Yeah.
So it's, you know, it was definitely a very, very cool experience. But again, right, like what I'm looking forward to the most is my guild getting Gallywix out. Like when we killed Muggsy yesterday, dude, people were so excited. They were just so excited. We were hitting the point where if we didn't kill Muggsy last night, we were gonna make some hard cuts to the team, and it's not a good feeling. Nobody likes that feeling. Going, okay, we're gonna walk out and you know what bugs me the most, dude? You know what bugs me the most? I'm gonna pull the curtain aside, right? Because I'm an officer in my guild. And other guild officers, you totally get this, especially if you like run raid or whatever. One of my least favorite things on the entire planet, one of the things I hate the most, dude, I hate it, is when raid wraps up, because it happened to me last season when I was raid leading. Obviously, our raid leader now has to deal with it. But whenever like a night goes poorly on the boss, and then you get like 7 messages from guild members who are like, I just looked at the logs and this person's DPS sucked. And it's like, okay, first of all, shut up. Second of all, like, let the raid leader do that, right? Like, let your raid leader go and check the logs and see what needs to be done, right? But if you're sitting there, like, going to your raid leader, like, I'm going to go tattle on this guy because they're not doing good enough.
Yeah,
okay.
Right. It's almost like a slap in the face.
Right. Okay. Nice. Great. Cool. Awesome. You can look at the logs and make fun of somebody. You're doing good. I'm proud of you, right? Like, what do you like? Okay, right? And for sure, there are times where, like, obviously, as officers, we'll sit in VC while Lex looks over the logs, and we look at them with him, and we're like, oh, dang it, dude. These people really are struggling, right? And oftentimes, what happens is, like, our raid leader Lex, right? His first response is always to, like, look at how they're playing, analyze it, maybe throw it into like WoW Analyzer or something, and then go back to that person and be like, hey man, here's where you're struggling. Here's like an easy way for improvement. I want to see you improve and get to this point. Here's how you can do it. Right? Here's how you can do it. I wish any of those people that just like message the raid leader and go, this person sucks. I wish that they would take just 10 seconds of their life. Just 10 seconds. Okay, it's more than 10 seconds. 10 minutes of their life. Right. And rather than just like go and like rant about another player's performance, go and like reach out to that player and be like, hey, I see you're struggling on this fight a little bit. We definitely need like everybody to be like playing at their best. I'm looking through logs and it looks like you're doing this rotation, but actually everything I'm seeing tells me that this other rotation is more effective. I'm going to send it your way. Let me know if that helps. Right.
Yeah.
Or like, hey, test it out on a dummy this week and let me know if that helps. Just simple things, right, man? Like, you know, it's one of my pet peeves in M+ too, right? Like, I hate in M+ when you like do something and somebody slams the question marks in chat. It's like question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. And I'm like, okay, but what are you trying to say, right? What they're trying to say, what I'm assuming they're trying to say in that moment is like, what are you doing? Why are you doing it that way?
Are you dumb?
Well, what information does that convey, right? Like, what information are you trying to convey to somebody? That you're upset with them, that you think their decision is stupid? Like, if you're going to start slamming question marks, it's never just one, it's like 12, right? You start slamming question marks in the chat. Why not just say, hey, doing this is more effective?
Like, I feel like it takes like just as much time to type out your thing than to just like, well, okay, I get it.
The question marks are fast, but they're not helpful.
No, yeah, it does take just as much time because I'm like, okay, what does the question marks mean? And then I'm sending question marks back like, what are you asking? And then at the end of the day, they're like, okay, well, I guess I got to type out what I was going to originally say. Well, dude, just type it out to begin with.
Yeah. And if you don't have the time to type it out, like if you don't have the time to type out, just wait a second and tell them when you do, right?
Oh, yeah, wait a second. Yeah.
Dude, my big pet peeve too, though, is like, there is nothing worse, especially as a tank, because when they're hitting question marks, that's usually who they're doing it to, right?
Yeah.
Is I hate as a tank when you start off a dungeon and they just like the first pull you do, they're upset with that pull. Dude, the rest of the dungeon, I'm out of it. Like, we might as well just quit the dungeon there because I'm not locked in. I'm not locked in anymore. Because now everything I'm doing, I'm like, are they upset with this? Are they annoyed with this? Are they bothered by this? Right? I'm not pulling threat the right way. I'm not using my defensives properly. Right? Like, usually in those moments, I get so much more worried about making sure I'm holding aggro that I'm not actually using my defensives to stay alive, and I'm just trying to keep people happy. Right? And so, yeah, dude, it's funny how like,
I know, man.
It you know, in their moment of frustration, they're actually making everything worse. Great example, dude. Great example. I ran a floodgate. And I go in and I do a big opening pool in floodgate, and not even like the biggest opening pool, like the medium big opening pool, right? Because I could have pulled more. I could have pulled more, but I was like, I'm just gonna do like medium big.
I know what you're talking
and
about.
then I get railed for the pool being too big, right? Like group wipes, I'm getting yelled at that the pool's too big. Okay, dungeon falls apart, pop into another floodgate. I pull smaller, right? And again, not Not crazy small. It's not crazy small. It's not like I pulled one pack. I think I pulled 3 packs, right? I just didn't pull like the 5 packs or whatever before, right?
Yeah.
Guess what? Guess what, dude? Guess what? Bro, why are you pulling so small? What's going on? Why is the trash pack so small? Dude, I don't know what to do. You can't win. You can't win, man. Like you'll never win. I just don't get it. I just don't get why. Like here's what you can do, right? Like after that pulls over. And by the way, oftentimes on the first pull is where I like to judge the capability of the group. Because if I pull, like if I don't know the group, pugs are hard. If I'm playing with friends,
hard, dude.
If I'm playing with like all friends, like if it's like me, you, J Rob, Z, Fat Hall, right? Like running the key together. Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah. We're talking about it.
The survivability, like, come on, yeah, you can pull a little bit.
Yeah,
bigger.
We're talking about it when we run it, right? Like I would then, like, another great example is Mechagon, right? Everybody wants that huge first opening pull of Mechagon,
dude. Oh my gosh.
But there are a handful of kicks that have to go out during that. You have to watch out for those as they're jumping, right? You can't really avoid that damage.
Yeah, dude.
So people have to be using their defensives. I never do the big opening pull in Mechagon. But if I was playing with all guildmates, I'd do it in a heartbeat because I know what people are capable of, right? But pugs, you just don't know, and so pugs are hard because one minute you're getting yelled at for pulling too small, and then the next minute when you do the pull that everybody wants, all of a sudden like everybody's just dying. So I tend to pull a little bit smaller on my opening pulls often when I'm pugging as a tank. And the only reason for that is because it lets me take a second and gauge what everybody's capable of. And then from that point forward in that dungeon, I know how to pull, right? I'm like, okay, I can pull a little bigger here. Or, oh, no, that was right. That was the right amount, right?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah, so I know people won't like hearing me say that. They'll be like, no, dude, you just got to do the big MDI pull right at the start. Yeah, awesome. But guess what? We don't need it for the timer, right? Like, we'll be fine. I don't know. It's just, it's such a hard thing.
I think, I think about this a lot because I think this is one of the things that really sucks about tanking. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a little, bit better this season just because I think they dumbed a lot of stuff down and it kind of made it a little bit better. But I think there's 2 big contributors. I think this season with Tyrannical and Fortifying being both affixes, it makes it a little harder to kind of judge what route you're going to do, how you're going to play things in a dungeon, and systematically that kind of just falls back on the tank. I think of like Dragonflight dungeons when it's like a fortified week. There's like, okay, like if it's a fortified week, we know we're lusting here. If it's a tyrannical week, we know we're going to lust here. Like everything was a little more self-explanatory, I think, in Dragonflight when it comes to dungeons. And things are a little more straightforward. But now, I mean, there's a lot of variability. Hey, does it make sense to lust here? Does it make sense to lust here? I mean, I think that's why people like Theater of Pain, because it's pretty obvious where you're going to lust, right? There's not a lot of leeway with like, oh, do I pull big in the beginning, or hey, maybe I save it for the first boss, maybe I save it for this pull, right? And that just kind of sucks about it. It's hard, but like the people want more challenging gameplay, right? We don't want like the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over.
Yeah, because
right?
if you look at the dungeons that were voted for, right? The dungeons that were voted for were the more of the open world dungeons than the kind of closed circuit dungeons, for lack of a better term. More straightforward, right? Linear, I think, is the word people would use.
Maybe outside of like Arakara, because that's pretty. It's
no,
not.
But Arakara is not either, right? Because your opening path is really up to interpretation. Now, a lot of people go the same way, but there is really a lot of room for choice. And then after the first boss, you also have choice in which route you go. Right, you go left or right. So Arakara is kind of a middle ground.
It is. I'll give you that, but like I think.
But people also picked it for the same
way. Well, obviously people picked it for the trinket, but like even I did a DPS floodgate on my mage with Brunick like the other day, and the tank did a different route than I typically do, and I was like, oh, this route actually is a lot better. Like I was like, I wouldn't even have thought of doing this route, and I kind of like this route, and I tried it the next time I tanked the floodgate, and I was like, actually, I really like this route a lot better. And
dude, the first time I did a floodgate, floodgate, I just pulled up routes because I hadn't even done the dungeon at all.
Oh,
so I just like pulled up a random route, and the first route that came up, it had me run like if you're standing at the start of the dungeon, kind of to your right through this like grassy area.
Oh,
and
that's
like
awful.
totally
Oh my gosh.
like totally skip that first pack of boxes. And I guess you're supposed to come back and get them later or something.
Yeah, that's oof. Oof.
And I was like, what the heck? Like, and then I did it. I was like, this feels dumb. This route feels dumb. There's something going wrong.
Yeah, right.
And so,
and everyone's probably like, question mark, question mark, question
yeah,
mark.
really, like,
what
what the
you
heck?
doing?
Luckily, it was like a +4 or something. So people were.
Yeah, so people were just like, okay. Yeah,
Also,
sure, this guy knows what
speaking
he's
of big
doing.
pools too, right? Like big pools are an interesting thing in pugs because, like, sorry, now I'm thinking about it, and routes and everything are interesting because anything like lower than the 10, the group is just so questionable, right? The group's capability is so like we joke about it, but
Yeah.
dude, for sure, 100% for sure, like I think 5s are harder than 10s.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Hands down, 5s are harder than 10s, right? Because 5s are starting to get to a point where like things can be threatening, things can actually kill you, but also you have a lot of people have no clue what they're doing, right? Like no clue what they're doing, and so you're just like, what is this? What is happening? And then 10s are where you start to get players who are like pretty consistent, right, in their gameplay.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right, and then it just seems like the higher you go, the more consistent that becomes, which is nice, which is very nice. But yeah, dude. Maybe that's part of it too. Is maybe because I usually tend to run that middle range of keys, like I run those 10s. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why I'm more cautious, right? Because I'm not doing things higher where I'm used to groups that can just like go crazy. Also, on top of that, sorry, I know we've been talking about M plus for a while, but you know, I think I just heard or saw or read or something recently that like around 55%. Or basically
55%.
Well, basically, sorry, or 55th percentile. Basically, though, 10s are the average right now for keys, is what I've heard.
Really?
I don't know, or I think it was like it's hard to tell, right? It's hard to tell with these numbers because
That's
it was like
surprising.
it was like 55% of keys run are like below a 10 level or something right now, or something like that. I'm trying to remember, but it's an interesting statistic. But it also like the question I'm asking is like, okay, but what does that mean, right? Like, what does that mean? Does that mean that like half of players are, or like the average 4 players that they're running are 10s, or is that just that the average of keys being run are 10s, right? Because are we talking about like Timmy over here who ran his 1-6 for the week and he's so excited and that's about it? He pushed up to a 6 and that's his achievement for the week. Or are we talking like Chad who just ran like 15 plus 16s in a row, right? He's just like, I'm just pushing my IO, for the last 8 hours, right? Like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't really know what that means, right? But
that's a good point.
I know in the past we talked about how 5s were the average key, and it looks like, but also I think the 5s were like the average player does 5s, right? So I don't know if that means the average player is now doing 10s or what that means, but it does seem like this season the average key, though, is being pushed higher than we've seen before.
Yeah.
It's for sure an easier season.
Oh, yeah. Well, that does it kind of push towards that, or does it kind of push towards the fact of like, hey, or maybe we kind of going back, are we kind of like going, or is Blizzard doubling down on itself and saying, hey, you know, we switched everything from 0 to 10, but are we going to basically push that back to 0 to 20 again? Right. And I don't know if we have the answer, right? I don't think we do. And I don't even think Blizzard has the answer.
I have no clue.
But I think.
But you see a little bit of, I don't think we're going to that 20 range again, but you do see some of it.
No.
But you see some of it. I think that's the existence of KSL. I actually think rating should have been changed this season. I don't know if KSL should exist.
Rating, not rating.
Yeah. I don't know if KSL should exist. Keystone Legend. I think it only exists because they were too nervous. I think they're too nervous to move KSM, right? Because if they came back and like, hey guys, KSM is like running all 10s, people would be like, what? Whoa. No, not my KSM, right? But running 10s
like,
right now,
Portals is all 12s. Like people would like lose their mind.
By the way, though, the transition from 11 to 12 doesn't feel too bad. It doesn't feel too bad. So basically, you lose the affix, right? So you lose whoever the Zaltath affix is.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, right. But before, what would happen is you would lose the Zaltath affix, and then everything would hit like 15% harder or whatever, right? And have 15% more health.
Yeah.
And so it was this like huge jump from 11 to 12 last season. Like 11 to 12 last season was like basically playing a whole different game. This season you lose. Plus it had the 15-second timer extension, right?
Yeah.
For deaths that what did that start at? Like the 7 level or
that
something
was
weird?
7 or 8, I think.
Yeah. So now what they have is at the 12 level, instead of that extra damage and health that all enemies will just be given, that is now where the 15-second death timer starts. So when you get to a 12, deaths become a lot more punishing, and you lose the bargain. And the bargain's such an interesting thing, because on one hand, I'm like, oh, yay, I don't have to deal with the affix anymore. There's no more affixes, which is kind of cool. Like, it's kind of cool doing dungeons with no affixes. On the other hand, I'm also kind of like, dang it, but these affixes that we have right now kind of juice me up.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's not like you're at a key range where like the affixes aren't a problem, right?
Yeah.
Like I ran that 8 yesterday, and like we're struggling to get down the Void Emissary, and I'm like, come on, guys, like this is bad. Like this is literally gonna lead to like wipes.
Yep.
But like at a 12, like you guys are friggin' and like the sad thing is we had a monk, and I'm like, bro, come on, dude.
You just touch a death him. Touch a death him, right?
Come on, bro. But if that was like a 12, dude, and you had it, like that thing would be dead in seconds. Like not even. Like
dude, it's funny because I ran.
It's dead.
Dude, I ran a 10. I think I was running a 10, or maybe it was an 11. And I was like, and I think I was streaming it. I think I was streaming because I remember I was talking to Chad about it. By the way, if you ever want to hang out with me, I do stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/the_swaglock. There'll be a link in the description. Dude, come hang out. It's usually pretty quiet and chill, but I love chatting with people. So if you ever have conversations about the podcast, feel free to mention up. Also, I think there's Twitch drops going on right now. I don't know what the item is, though.
It comes out in, I think it's like this week. I think it's with the release of 11.5.
Oh, sick, dude.
Yes,
that'd be awesome.
It's with the release of 11.5. It's actually, it looks like a little like bee kind of thing. It's pretty cute, actually.
Oh, awesome.
It's probably one of the better pets that I've seen.
So, anyways, I'm running this key, right? And like the affix is just not dying, dude. It was the one with Xalatath herself, like, is like the ghost of Xalatath. You have to kill her.
Yeah, the Void Emissary.
The Void Emissary, and she's just not dying. And I'm just like chatting. I'm trying to kill her, but I'm also just like a tank, right? And I'm like chatting with my Twitch chat, and I'm like, yo, is this normal in higher keys? Like, what's going on? And somebody's like, well, I think they do like buff the shield. Like, I think she gets more and more shield the higher the key is, which makes sense. You know, whatever.
Yeah, it does.
And so I kind of just like, in my mind, I'm like, okay, whatever. And like, I would say pretty much any time she spawned, it was like 50-50 if she'd actually die. On bosses, probably would never die, right? And I was just like, dude, it was making the dungeon so much harder. And I was like, well, I guess that's the nature of it, right? Like, this must just be. And I run another one, and she's just getting like blasted every time she shows up.
Like melted.
Just absolutely melted. And I'm like, okay, no, that group just sucked. And I do think.
Right? Like, that group was just bad.
And I believe I'm correct on this. Again, a lot of things I say are because I'll hear a piece of information, and then I don't actually like go and research it, and it just kind of locks it away in my brain. But I think if I remember correctly, Xalatath, the Void Emissary, cannot be cleaved, if I recall correctly.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you have to focus the affix.
Interesting.
And I think a lot of people try to cleave her, right? So a lot of people are like, oh, she'll pop.
You can't. Yeah.
No, and I believe when I did beta, she was cleavable. Because I'm pretty sure when I did beta, you didn't even think about it. You just made sure that she was stacked up on everything and she died, right? But I think after beta, they made her uncleavable. I could be wrong on this. But yeah, I'm probably going to be looking it up as you open up the next, whatever the next topic is. But if that is the case, either way, even if she's not, the best thing you can do at that moment, just switch focus, single target her real fast, get her down. Because also killing her quickly gives you a 30% increase to your cooldown rates. That's huge. That is actually great. Like, that's my favorite one, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good one. Yeah, and while you look that up, we can talk about the two main things I think I wanted to talk about on the podcast, even though we spent the last hour talking about random stuff, like always. Mm-hmm. We got a little more information about the Winds of Mysterious Fortune. There's like a little art grab for it. that looks like it's from Blizzard, and it talks about just the actual buff that we'll get. It's a 20% level increase or 20% experience gain increase for levels 10 through 80, and then on top of that you get 200% reputation gain increase from Dragonflight and 100% from the War Within, which is kind of cool. Kind of nice that they're going back to Dragonflight, letting people get more reputation from Dragonflight. And that also comes from just anything you do in the 2 zones of the Dragon Isles and Khazalgar. And you can also get these satchels that have little things in them, and they just come from just killing mobs, and they're pretty random drop. It doesn't say what the percentage of getting them is, but it looks like you can get them once a day. And they have equipment, cosmetics, and XP potions, which is kind of cool. I've never heard of XP potion, but it adds an extra 10% experience gain on top of the 20% experience gain, which is kind of cool. So I'm kind of glad that they added that. So if this is the time that you want to gear up some of those alts, that'll start on the 22nd, and it only goes to May 20th, which is kind of weird. Typically, I feel like it's the opposite. Like it'll start like towards the end of the season and then go basically to the end, right?
No, that does make sense. I think they're trying to land it with the next event that's coming up, right? So there's like another event thing right after that. But it does seem like an odd point in the season. Maybe they're just trying to bring people back in. I don't know. I don't know. There's probably logic behind it. This season feels good, but also after last season, maybe people are like, I don't know. By the way, just a quick note, and we can move on. Void Emissary cannot be cleaved. I just double checked.
Ooh, that's good information. You heard it here, kids.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder if they're just trying to mix stuff up. Like, I mean, a game like World of Warcraft's been out for a long time, 20 years, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, maybe they're trying to just like switch things up, change the lineup a little bit, change the order of how things are naturally seen. Maybe people think like, oh, hey, this is a little different, so maybe it's a little more enjoyable. They're not expecting this experience buff at the moment, but maybe it kind of brings them back in. So I don't know. Hopefully I can gear at least 1 or 2 alts to 80. I only have 4 at 80 right now, so. But to be honest, I'm like, will I ever play these characters? But it's good to have them at 80. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Plus, also, I think it's a good time. I think this is a great time to be getting alts leveled up because it's a good season. Yeah. It's a very fun season right now. Dungeons feel great. Raid is a blast. And so it's a good time that you're like, you know what? I'm 7 weeks in. I've accomplished most of what I want to do. Now I want to start working on alts. It is a great moment to get those alts leveled up that you'd be interested in playing. Yeah. I think that's the big thing. I think the big thing for Blizzard in these moments, like I want to believe it's like, oh wow, we can get new people into the game and try WoW and get them in here. But I think it extends the life of the season, right? Because I know last season, dude, I was having so much fun playing Brewmaster the back half of the season. It was just fun. I think you saw me on all the time working my Brewmaster.
It was just like that's like all you ever played,
dude. But I was doing the same content I had already done on my DK. But now it's just different. I was just doing it differently, and it was fun. Yeah. It was a blast. I don't know what I'll be playing this season as my secondary. Maybe I'll be healing the back half of the season. Maybe I'll be tanking on Prot. Maybe I'll go back to Prot Pally again. Maybe I'll try something different. Maybe I'll finally learn Demon Hunter. I don't know. But it is fun to be able to have those alts and go, you know what? I did everything I want to do on my main character, or on this character. I want to try something different. It just gives you such a different flavor. Which can be really fun and bring new life into the game. So I like that they're kind of doing it almost mid-season to get people ready. Not mid-season, but a little bit earlier in the season. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. We'll see if they get what they want done.
Yeah, Blizz, they're kind of kooky.
Yeah.
Anyways. Yeah, and I think one other thing I wanted to talk about, and then we'll kind of go into some questions, because I feel like some of these might take a little bit longer to talk about, which is always good, right? Blizzard did reveal that they have not forgot about the dinars, and
dang it, I was hoping they did.
Accidentally just exited out. No, I didn't. It's right here. They have not forgotten, and they're going to give us more details when the patch goes live. The 11.1.5 patch, and I don't know, like, what I don't know. We can always talk about Dinars, whether you think they're good for the game, whether or not. But I mean, they're coming. Like
Yeah.
it's not.
I'm hoping it's just
be here,
one.
right?
I'm hoping it's one. I'm hoping it's like, hey, here's a big quest chain. You can go on it if you want to, and if you complete it, and it takes time, right? It takes time, takes energy, like takes dedication. If you complete it, you get 1 dinar, and that's it, right? And maybe you can do that on every alt or something. What I don't like is the whole like, oh, I didn't get the item I want, and icy veins, and my sims tell me that's the best item I can have. I can't have fun if I don't have that item. Blizzard, just give it to me, please. Right? That to me, I think is lame. That's fun for like a season 4 when you're just like, nothing matters this season. We're repeating old
like
content.
Cares, right?
Raid is on a 3-week rotation, so like your chances of getting that loot that you want just got cut in a third, right? So like at that point, it's like, okay, who cares? Like let's just do it.
Yeah, who cares,
but for a normal raid, it's not my favorite. Now, if they have a system as I described in place, where it's like, hey, if there's one item that you desperately want, you can go on this like big quest chain, right? Kind of like crafting a ledger, right? You should feel like crafting a ledger. But you go on this big quest chain. At the end of it, you craft a dinar that you can use to like snipe an item from the raid. Yeah, you know what? Awesome.
That's not bad.
Awesome. Because at that point, I'm like, yeah, that feels like a quest. That feels like an epic moment in the RPG where you're crafting the thing that you need, right? No problem with that. The only problem I have is when it's like, wow, you logged in this week. Here's a dinar, right? And you're just like, or like, wow, you killed 1 raid boss. Here's a dinar, right? Like that to me is just, it's not compelling gameplay. Great. I know people want their items. I know they're like, oh, but I just want the loot. I know, I get it, but let's make the experience compelling. And so that's my problem. Like, I don't mind if we come up with systems that help kind of alleviate a little bit of the RNG, right? I don't mind that.
Yeah.
But the alleviation of the RNG shouldn't be free. It should be like, okay, but here's the work you can put in to alleviate that RNG.
Yeah. No, that's pretty fair. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's definitely going to be locked behind the raid tier pass, whatever you want to call it, right?
Yeah.
But what does that mean, right? Does that mean it's going to be just, hey, we'll just give it to you kind of deal, which, well, let's be honest, that's what it's going to be.
Probably, which sucks.
I have a feeling.
But I'm hoping,
but
the fact that they haven't told us yet, right? And they're waiting till 11.1.5 goes live, I'm assuming it's tied to something in 11.1.5.
Yeah.
Right? And so if it was just like, because by the way, though, if it was just like, yeah, you get a dinar every 3 weeks or something, then they'd probably just put that there. They'd probably just be like, oh, yeah, you'll get it every couple
that's fair.
weeks. Or bullion or whatever they call it. I wonder what they're going to call it.
Yeah.
I hope whatever it is. Yeah, I don't know. Again, if it's just one item, right? Like if it's just like, oh, go on this epic crafting quest to build this item, then awesome. Whatever, that'd be cool, right? Like that, no problem. No problem with that whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I guess we'll find out, right?
We'll find out. We'll figure it out. But
we'll find out next week on World of Warcraft.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways.
Yeah, dude. I think we have on our show notes talking about current thoughts on M+. I think we did kind of hit. I think we kind of hit all of it, unless you had anything else that you wanted to mention.
We totally hit that. Like, come on, bro. You don't think we talked about M+?
Dude, I was a good M+. I love talking about M+. The one thing, it's funny. We've talked about the podcast a bunch, and I know for a while. I know you've been wanting to do a podcast for a while. You had a podcast before. And I was thinking about it. I was like, man, dude, like, it's interesting because you and I used to play a bunch of Fortnite. We used to play a bunch of Minecraft together and even some other games. And, dude, they're like, I could not fathom, bro. I could not fathom talking about, like, any other game that we have played like how we talk about WoW. And I think it's credit to the developers, right? The fact that you and I every single week can sit down and have new things that we're excited to talk about. And oftentimes not new, but just we're excited to talk about things regarding M+, regarding raid, regarding questing, leveling, right? Like experiences, player relations, right? Like all those things. Like the fact that like every week there's stuff that we're excited to just talk about. Man, dude, good job, Blizzard. Dude. You guys have created a beautiful game.
Good job, Blizzard.
Yeah, I just gotta say
it's pretty good. It's a pretty good game.
Yeah.
I'd play it.
Anyways, this is probably going to be a little bit shorter of an episode today, which is totally fine. But we do have some listener questions we want to get to before we wrap up. So We're gonna read
Bro,
those
don't
out.
say that because we'll end up talking about these questions for like the next half hour.
That's the plan.
That's because you said that.
That's the plan, yeah, dude. That's the plan. What's our longest right now? I think it was like an hour 49. It was the Oreo
like
episode.
that,
Yeah, it was the episode with Oreo. We'll have to beat that. All right. Actually, what we'll do is if we ever surpass that time, we'll just bring her back in to like then set the new record. Yeah, set the new record. All right. So first question coming in from Rakrazek. What advice would you have for a player that is considering starting their own guild from scratch? We're talking pay randos to sign the charter kind of scratch. How does that player go about growing their guild and making it a successful mid-core rating guild one day? So I think when they say mid-core, I'm guessing like probably like AOTC.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Chick, I'll let you go first, man. When you think about that, what are your like thoughts?
I have a lot of thoughts about this. Like when I first read this question, I was like,
this is a fun question.
I could literally probably talk about this for a long time.
Especially coming from two guys who have never started their own guild. Like, this is going to be good.
Yeah, but like I've gone through it in my head because for a long time I was like, oh, like, does it make sense for Swag to start a guild, right? You know, you're a content creator, you got your own little group now. You know, we even have a podcast now.
Yeah.
That's growing and what from my standards I'd say is really successful. I mean, we're kind of blowing my expectations out of the water with the podcast.
Dude, we're doing
and the
great.
results we're getting. So, I've definitely thought about it a lot. And, I think there's three things that you have to keep in mind. One is definitely your expectations, right? If your expectation is to get a guild that can do mid-core rating, that's a pretty good expectation, right? It's not like, oh, how do I get like the biggest guild in World of Warcraft? Like that's, it's an expectation, right? But like, how achievable is it, right? It's pretty hard.
Mm-hmm.
But I think having a mid-core rating guild isn't like a super like out of realm expectation, right? I think the second thing you really got to do is do your research. Just reach out to guild masters, right? See how much time and effort it takes to doing that, because I don't think people realize how much effort it takes into having a guild. Like it takes hours out of your days, even not just your weeks. Like it takes hours out of your days. I mean, we're talking about a game that rotates weekly. Like, I mean, it's not like people join a guild just some people join a guild just to be in a guild, right? Like me. Like I join a guild like, oh, I'm in a guild, cool. But people join guilds because they want to have friends, they want to have people to play the game with, right? So it's not like, hey, let's just join a guild just so I can have something to look forward to, right? Well, I shouldn't say that, but yeah, I think you're getting my kind of point with that. And third is kind of just realizing I don't know how to say this without being a jerk, but like realizing the moment when it happens, right? I mean, I think there's a big interview with oh my goodness, what's his name? John Krasinski, Jim from The Office, where he's like talking about his success and he's talking about like, hey, like he really wanted to move to New York, and there was like a point like right before he went that his mother like pulled him aside and said like, hey, like in 2 years, if this doesn't work out, like I want you to just come back because I can't tell you to give up on your dreams, right? And like she was brutally honest with him, like I as your mother cannot tell you to give up on your dreams. Like I need you to do that for yourself, right?
Yeah.
And just like if it's not gonna happen, it's not gonna happen, right? Like there's a lot of guilds out there that would love to have you a part of them. And be an officer, right? Like that's just as good as at some points, right? But I don't think having a guild is going to be as, I don't want to say as fulfilling as a lot of people think, but I think it's very time consuming, and I bet it is fulfilling, but to have the success of some guilds is pretty rare, I think.
Yeah.
And you gotta definitely have a uniqueness.
I think oftentimes people speak from seasons of life that they're in, right? And so Chicken, for you, right, having, a family, children, another one on the way, right? For you, you're probably thinking like, dude, oh my gosh, the amount of work I'd have to put in, the things I'd have to step away from.
Crazy.
Trying to guild. Yeah, for sure. I guess my initial question, Rack, for you is why? Like, what's the point? Why Why not just join a raid team? Why not just join a raid team? If your goal is to do some successful mid-core raiding, why not just join a raid team? Now, I ask that question not because I'm discouraging you, not because I say what you're doing is wrong, but you need to be able to have vision for why you want to start a guild, purpose for why you want to start a guild, and you need to be able to verbalize that, right? Like, your goal should be able to verbalize why you want to have a guild. Because if you're paying some randos to sign a charter, that's great, and that gets bodies in the door, which is fine, like butts in the seats, that's fine. However, they're not really bought into vision, right? So what is the purpose? Why your guild? Why are you making a guild? Right? Because sometimes guilds start because you have a bunch of friends who are already enjoying gaming together, right? And they're like, yo, like for example, if we didn't have the guild we have right now, right? And me and Brunik and Chicken were all gaming together as we would have been anyways. Yeah, maybe I'd be like, yo guys, you want to we're already having fun, we're already doing our thing. You want to just pull more people into this, right? Like that. Yeah, I totally get that. However, you need to be able to verbalize to people why your guild exists, why you think you should be running one. That's kind of step one. Once you have that figured out, it becomes a lot easier to start designing that thing and building that thing. You remember we had, I think it was in episode 10. Episode 10?
Yep, it was.
We had Spell on the podcast. Spell is our guild master. And to give Spell some credit, that woman puts so much work and effort into our guild. Like, I don't think most of our guild members actually realize how much time and effort, and by the way, finances too, that she puts in to support our guild and to build our guild and make it as incredible as it is. She runs our officer team as if they're like legit jobs, which is, you know, sometimes I'm like, whoa, I'm just playing a game here.
Yeah, right.
But like, we basically have like quarterly reviews and like constantly checking in and being like, hey, you're not following up on these things that you're supposed to be doing that you offered to, right? Like, all this stuff. But those things have to happen in order for the guild to be successful, right? Like, she has to run it. I would also ask Rack, if you want to have a successful raiding team, right? Like, are you okay not leading that raiding team? Right, you generally want to be able to divvy up responsibilities in a guild. A guild needs that. It needs that separation. So if you're trying to raid lead and lead the guild simultaneously, well, then maybe at that point you're saying, no, the only purpose of our guild is a raid team, and therefore me leading the guild is leading the raid team, and that's fine too. That's a whole different method, right? That's a whole different strategy. But if you're saying, no, our guild will be like a growing, successful guild, and it will have a raid team, right? Because those are two different things. Right? Yeah. Then you have to be okay kind of handing that responsibility over. Learning to delegating responsibility is going to be one of the most important things you can do as a guild master, right? You can't do everything. And by the way, your guild's going to want you to offer things to them, right? Like, in order for people to join your guild and stay in your guild needs to be better than any other guild that they could join. Now, you can't always be better in skill, right? Like, skill's the hard one, because at some point, they're going to go, no, I want better than this skill-wise. But you can offer better in other areas, right? Because you're never going to be better than Liquid, and your goal isn't to be better than Liquid. So skill people will always go out. But people will be looking for a place to call home, place that's comfortable, place that they go, yeah, I love raiding Heroic. I just want a nice, comfortable space to raid Heroic that's fun, but also successful, right? You don't want to be unsuccessful at Heroic. If you're doing Heroic and you're not completing it, you're not going to maintain players. So, learning to delegate responsibilities so that when people look at your guild, sorry, I ranted for a second there. The point being, though, delegate responsibilities so that you can do more with the guild, right? Because your guild needs to offer more, and you can't do all of it yourself. So, yeah, guilds are such a fascinating thing. Like, even within our guild, like, I'll kind of pull the curtain aside a little bit. Even within our guild, right? My responsibilities as an officer primarily lie with backup support for our raid team. So if our raid leader Lex is unavailable that night or sick, or sometimes I know right now he's been having an issue where he's losing his voice a bit, I'll step in, I'll raid lead, right? Like, my responsibility isn't the raid team, right? Like, unless I'm asked to cover, my responsibility is not the raid team, but sometimes I'll get pulled in to cover for that. But I do run our weekly, once a week, we have a Sunday Keys. We call it Sunday Keys. We just get together at 6 on Sundays and run Mythic plus Keys. And I recently just redid the whole process for how we do that. We actually have a whole sign up now for it. And we organize our teams before the event the day of the event. So that way everybody knows like, oh, I'm on team 4 this week and these are my teammates and this is the level of key that we're running, right? Like 2 days before the event starts. It builds some hype. It's fun. It's exciting. I have some other officers who help support me in this event, right? And that I support them. But that way, like, we can kind of make that event successful. And even if I'm unavailable to be there, another officer can make sure to fill in and lead that event well. We have other events that go on. We have events that go on that aren't even in WoW, right? Like, we'll, I think, I'm saying tonight, but as of recording, it's Friday night. We'll be having, I think they're playing, like, Goose Goose Duck or something as some guild mates are getting together. Just things that our officers are constantly working on, constantly coordinating through. So learn, I guess if I was to break it down, so I ranted a bunch, ranted a whole lot. If I was to break down starting a successful guild into like 3 points, like if there's 3 things I would say that to hold on to and be firm on. 1, have vision for your guild and be able to verbalize that vision for your guild, right? Because again, you want to convince people not to just sign a charter. You want to convince them to be a part of something, right? Like you want to convince them that like the vision you have is awesome and they want to help make that vision happen. 2, you want to be solid at being able to delegate the responsibilities of your guild to other people, right? Very early on, you want to get good at trusting people to do things and keep an eye out. Be scrutinist. Like don't just be like, well, Timmy's in here, I'm going to give him responsibility. Like don't be afraid to kind of be a little firm on your expectations for him, right? Like don't be like, I was talking to one of our officers the other day. I think he'll be fine with me saying this. Not one of our officers, one of our retired officers, right? So he was an officer for a while. And he was like, yeah, man, dude, honestly, the expectations from our guild master were just more than I wanted to do. Like, it was just more than I wanted to handle every week. And it wasn't, like, enjoyable for me. Like, he just was not enjoying being an officer. But guess what? He stepped down from being an officer, I think, like 2 years ago or something. Still happily with the guild. Still hanging out with us for every raid night. Coming to events. Always doing stuff with us. We've been running keys a lot together. Still well taken care of, still loved in the guild, right? No shame for somebody to say, oh, you know what? I stepped into it, realized it was more than I wanted, stepped out. So that second point, right? Make sure you have people that you're willing to delegate to and delegate real responsibility to. Not fake responsibility. Not like, oh, you're an officer, so you get to stand up here with me. It's cool, isn't it? Like real responsibility. Hey, you're an officer. The privilege also comes with responsibility. You are in charge of these things. You have to make them happen. If they're not happening, then I need to find another officer, right? Like be firm on that. Be totally firm on that, and let people know that the door's always open to walk out from being an officer. Like, there's no shame in that whatsoever.
Yeah.
The third thing, right? So the third thing I would say is important is to make sure that you are offering something that they cannot easily find elsewhere, right? So not just casting a vision for the guild, not just having people to do things, but make sure that like what you're actually offering as a guild is something that can't be found elsewhere. Find your niche, find that thing. And by the way, other guilds might offer it, but there's a lot of guilds out there. And so what you really want is the people who find your guild, and when they find your guild, by that point, they haven't found anybody else offering that, right? You are finding first. Those 3 things, I think, would be probably most critical. So just to summarize one more time, because it's just how I think, right? Summarize one more time. No rabbit trailing. Set a vision that you can explain easily. Recruit officers that have genuine responsibilities and are held accountable to those responsibilities. And 3, make your guild offer things that people cannot find elsewhere. Make things available to them that they cannot find, whether it's communal, whether it's events, whether it's just like the atmosphere and the environment, whatever that is, your guild needs to offer something that they're not finding elsewhere but is desirable.
Yeah, and Rack submitted this question, but if this is just a topical question, Rack, well, thanks for submitting that. It was a good. It's always something I've wanted to talk about. I just never knew how to talk about it. I kind of, when we had Spell on it, it was kind of nice, and maybe we could have asked more of those interview type questions. But I think that podcast was one of the better podcasts that we had. And feel free to go back and listen to it. It's episode 10. It's not super, specific to the content of the game at that time. It was just more specific to, having a guild and what it takes to run the guild. And like, you got to realize our guild is not like a small guild, right? I mean, I would say we easily have over 100 active players at any given time.
Yeah, it's a good guild.
So it's not like, hey, we're just like a group of friends that went to college together that just happen to play like WoW, right? No, like this is people all over the world, like in different areas of life, right?
Yeah,
and yeah.
Also, one last note, because I don't think either of us really mentioned the raiding thing too much outside of having a raid leader. Start smaller. Start smaller than where you intend to be would be my advice, specifically for like mid-core. If you're like, no, we want to do AOTC, or I'm not AOTC, like we want to get cutting edge. Okay, well then you have to start big, right? But our guild started in normal actually, so we started doing normal raiding. I think our first raid season, we didn't even. I actually joined our guild during their first raid season, so I was there for their first raid night. I was like the one pug that they invited, and I've been there ever since. But they started in normal, and they never even. I don't even think they even finished the raid on normal. To be honest, I don't think they finished it.
Interesting.
But but it was also they started kind of late in the season. I think it was late in the season they started it. But you know what though? Then the next, or maybe they did. Maybe we went. No, we didn't finish heroic. We went into normal, didn't finish heroic. That's right. We started normal, didn't finish heroic. Sorry, my brain's all over. I think we got halfway through heroic or something before the season ended. So start smaller than you expect because you're gonna need to take the time to develop players, right? Players who are fully capable of getting AOTC every season don't want to jump into a brand new AOTC team that has no experience whatsoever, right? That's just not for them, right? But what you can do now, some will, by the way, some will love the environment. If you create an environment where people are learning, where they're growing, where they're happily experiencing raid, even if you're working up to the point you want to be, people will love that. And so you'll get like our guild, like the spectrum of skill in our raid team is massive, dude. Is massive. We've got people like parsing 99s in damage, and then people parsing like 12. Right, like it's just, and it's just a very, very, very wide gap. But our players, like, we create an environment people want to be a part of. We create an environment, right? People aren't joining because of the promise of AOTC. They're creating because we promise a good time.
Yeah.
Anyways, on to the next question here. I actually have a lot of thoughts about this one. This one I have a lot of thoughts about. So I'll let Chicken go first. Maybe we will go late on this podcast. We'll find out.
Yeah, dude, you should have never said that. I'll read it.
Okay.
It's from Nafi. I'm assuming I'm pronouncing that correctly. I know you've discussed M+ Group Finder before, but how about entry criteria? I think it would be interesting, but you'd need to clear X amount of dungeons at a specific M+ level to queue for it. Let's say I clear priority 10 5 times. I can now group finder it with key holders, getting faster queues. I think it could help change the perception and needing certain meta specs at mid-high keys to succeed. You said you had a lot of stuff to talk about. I mean, if you just want to go into it, because I don't really know. I haven't really formed my thoughts about this.
Dude, I've been thinking about this question all week, bro. Like, I think I had a commute to work where it was on my mind the entire freaking drive to work. Because I was thinking, this question like hit something in my head that just like got the gears spinning. And maybe not spinning in the way though that the question giver wants to give. So I do apologize, by the way. I'm probably gonna rip apart your proposal, and I'm not saying it's bad. Like, I love when people send in ideas like this. I just get too realistic sometimes is my problem, right? And so I actually think the concept is good in terms of like, what can we do to like make it easier for people to get into groups, right? And even this, breaking it down, is what they're saying is, how do we add in a solo queue feature that like doesn't completely ruin everything, right? So they're really trying hard to find a way to add solo queue that doesn't totally change everything that we're doing now. The problem though with any solo queue feature is solo queue can only exist if it's the exclusive way to do keys. When I say solo queue, I mean like you go into the group finder and you hit solo, and then it puts, or you hit queue up and then it puts you in a group, right? And the only way that works is if the entire system is completely overdone, and it's just that group finder option. The reason being is you will never find a group otherwise in solo queue. So like I'm gonna put like a theoretical out there, right? Let's say you did run those +10 priorities, right, 5 times, And now you can queue, which, by the way, I think the solo queue would probably not let you queue for specific ones at that point. I think the only way it could work is if you were forced to queue for every dungeon. But let's say, theoretically, in this case, you're queuing for Priory, right? I'm a tank. And I want to do Priory.
Yes.
I'm never solo queuing. Never in a million years will I ever solo queue. No matter how enticing that button looks, I'll never do it. Why? Chicken, do you know why I would never solo queue?
What?
Well, would you solo queue? As a tank? For a dungeon?
As a tank, yes, I think I would.
Why?
Because I think as a tank, I'm a specialty role that would probably take precedence.
Yeah, but that also is why you wouldn't queue, right? So,
as a
tank, I would never queue it. If it's my own key, then I get to have the cream of the crop, right? Like, I can list my key and sit there and pick exactly who I want, which, by the way, is not really always meta, right? Like, if you're not running, like, 13s up, nobody is really caring that much for meta. I don't think it's that big of a deal. But what I am looking for is rating. What I am looking for is eye level, right? Like, now I am also trying to balance things out. I'm like, okay, do I have a lust? Do I have like the right balance of melee to casters, right? Like, I am checking those things for sure. Do I have an extra B-res even though I have a B-res? What if I die? Does someone else have a B-res to get me up, right? Like, I am checking those things. But the problem is I would never solo queue because a solo queue takes all of that away from me, right? So right now, I can make sure that I'm in a group that I'm happy with. A solo queue would just put me in a group with no control over it. It would take that control away from me. And so the reason why the proposal doesn't work is because I think most tanks, and probably healers too, would avoid that system, right? And if they're avoiding that system, now all of a sudden you have this huge pile of DPS queuing up, right? With no tanks and no healers queuing up. All the tanks and healers are just using which we're already short on, by the way. The reason why your queues exist as long as they do are because we have a shortage of tanks and healers. The more tanks and healers there are available, the less meta matters, right? Because right now, we talked about this before, so I won't go into it too long, but if I list my key, right now, I'll get a ton of DPS queuing up, maybe one or two healers, right? It's not as bad as it was. Healer shortage last season was horrible. Not as bad as it was last season, right? However, if there were more tanks and more healers, let's say tanks specifically, if there were more tanks in the queue, right? DPS would have more dungeons to apply to. Those meta specs would be picked so fast. Theoretically, if people cared that much about meta specs in the 10 range, they would be taken so fast, right? Which means that all those other keys that tanks are now listing their keys for, or tanks are trying to get into, will have a much more even spread of players, right? All of a sudden, I'll be listing my key. And it's like, oh, well, actually, I only have 4 people to choose from. Which of these 4 do I want, right? I can only take 3 DPS. Now all of a sudden, the meta doesn't really matter as much because I'm looking at 4 and going, okay, well, out of these 4, these 3 are the best balance for my team. Right now, I'm looking at, okay, out of these 12, which 3 are the best balance? Out of these 14, which 3 are the best balance, right? So I would say, as much as I hate to say it, I would say that's the answer. Right, the answer is that. I also right, at that point too, who's hitting the threshold for the solo queue at doing 5 keys?
Yeah.
That then wants to continue just doing 10s, right? That's kind of a rarity, unless you're like, no, I'm trying to farm an item from this dungeon. But then that's like a very hyper-specific case. And then all of a sudden you're just ending up in groups that are just trying to farm that item because it's only other people who have also run that same dungeon on the 10 level 5 times. Right. So by the way, though, I thought about it. I actually thought about it a lot. And I was like, okay, well, how would this work? Like, how could this system work? And the reality is I think the only way a LFG kind of like automated system would work, I call it solo queue, but an automated system would work for dungeons would be basically if everybody was forced to do it and it was the only option, if they got rid of keystones altogether and your group queues were basically based off of your rating, but your rating could also drop if you don't perform well. That's the other trade-off, right? Like your rating has to go down. Right now, rating doesn't go down, right? And the reason why I say rating has to go down is because if you get really lucky and get a couple good dungeons, but then you're actually not really as good as your rating suggests, you're going to keep getting queued into dungeons that you're really not good enough to do. People aren't going to be happy with that. The system's going to feel really bad. And by the way, though, if solo queuing, and this is another thing I had to realize, if solo queuing was the only option available, I still probably would not do it.
Yeah.
Because I would literally just download an add-on or join a random Discord server. Right? Somebody would probably just make an add-on at that point where you can just list the dungeon you want to do, right? And then people would be like, "Oh,
and like
I'll do
a Discord," and then it would just like, yeah,
right. Like somebody would make an add-on for people, right? Like it would just create itself, right? Like it would ultimately find a way. The only way then it would work is if you were forced into the solo queue feature, and you had to use the solo queue feature. You could not just walk into a dungeon and do it at a keystone level, right? It wouldn't be called keystone at that point, right? It'd be just like dungeon level 4, right? You couldn't just walk in and choose what level you want to do that mythic dungeon at. It would have to be done through the solo queue feature. But then also, what stops people from going, okay, well, we're just going to form our own group and then hit the queue button, right?
Yeah.
Because then now that causes the other
that's
problem.
true.
So the only way that the solo queue, and this is why, and by the way, this is why your question was so fascinating to me, because it made me realize how impossible solo queuing actually is. The only way the LFG system would work for Mythic Plus and be fun for people and not feel like there's such a bottleneck right now is if they force you to only be able to enter leveled up dungeons through that system, and you could only queue as an individual player. And that would not be that would ruin M plus.
Yeah, that wouldn't be very fun.
Because a lot of people love, like, the best part of M plus is playing with people you know.
Yeah, see, when I read that question, I didn't realize that group finder meant like an LFG kind of thing, like not an auto queue. I thought that meant like, oh, hey, we're still gonna, queue, like you could only see dungeons in the group finder of that specific key level.
Yeah. No, and so and my point, by the way, Nafi, my point isn't to like poop all over your idea. It's not that at all. It's you inspired me so much this week to like start thinking about it. Like, well, how would that work? How could we make queues better for players, right? And the reality is there's really nothing you can do. If dungeon queues are super important to you, this is the answer people hate. Play a tank, play a healer, play meta, right? Those are the answers. If you're right, every choice we make, every decision we make has consequences, right? And you weigh those consequences and go, no, actually, the benefits of this choice are way better than the consequences, right? Like, if I want Taco Bell for lunch today, well, guess what, dude? Will I get some poops later? Probably. But guess what, dude? I love that Taco Bell. Benefits outweigh the consequences, for sure. And I think oftentimes those choices reflect in many ways, right? You could look and say, okay, do I want to play a tank? Well, the benefit is the queue times are way better. The consequence is I don't like playing tank, right? So you can go, well, I'm not going to play a tank, right? So I'm not going to play tank. Well, the benefit of not playing tank is it's more fun for you, but the queue times are longer, right? Or, hey, this spec is meta. Do you want to play that spec? Well, the benefit would be queue times are shorter. The consequence, I don't like it. On the flip side, if I don't do it, if I go, nope, I'm a Ret Paladin, and all I'll ever play is Ret Paladin, and I just love Ret Paladin, that's awesome. If you're having fun, the benefit is it's fun for you. The consequence is there are going to be seasons where nobody wants a Ret Paladin in their group, or your guild has 12 of them, like our guild does, right? Now, that then is up to you to be like, okay, well, no, the benefit still outweighs the consequences for me. So it's such a hard one because a lot of the queue, like, the queue problem is our own fault. Like, our own fault. It's our own fault. Long queues exist because we make choices, right? And then we don't like the consequences of those choices, but that's just the nature of it, right? The reality though is I don't think I don't think solo queuing can work. I tried all week long. I tried finding a way that it could actually be like a much better system than the system we have right now. And for whatever reason, the system we have right now feels like it's actually the best option available.
Yeah. No,
or just join our guild and come run keys with us. That works too.
Yeah, well, that's true, but I can understand the the notion of not doing that as well.
By the way, though, I get the frustration. I get the frustration. Like, I totally agree with the frustration, even though I'm a tank, so I never wait.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. I mean, there's obviously a big disconnect between wanting to have some kind of automated system that puts people in queues together. That way, we don't have to sit in a queue and wait for a specialty role. Yeah. But then you're kind of right. Like, it doesn't give incentive to people to use it unless that was like the only way to queue for keys. Yeah.
And when I'm saying I would never do it, I'm not trying to be like, oh, your idea is stupid, I would never do it. I'm trying to say, like, as a tank, I wouldn't give up. Like, I wouldn't give up the security I have and be able to handpick my groups, right? Like, that is such a security for me. I would be way more scared going to keys not knowing what the group was that I was putting together. I wouldn't be quite right? So, because, like, morally, it would be nicer of me to just queue up, solo queue, so that the queue times are shorter. But, like, in practice, right, like, my instinct will always be to go, no, I need to make sure I'm taking care of myself, right? Gotta make sure I'm taking care of myself going to these keys. I won't be scared. And if I'm thinking that way, I'm sure pretty much everyone else is going to probably do the same thing.
Yeah, it's, to me, it needs more thought before it can actually happen. It's just not. I think the idea is there. It's just not. There's a lot of details that would need ironed out before it would actually be able to implement smoothly. And I think you're right. I think people like the idea of being able to choose, even though it's not always, the best thing, right?
Yeah, and I also find, too, oftentimes the argument comes up, and maybe I don't think about it, because the way I run keys, and I don't run keys the same way everyone else does. The way I run keys is I go, oh, I have a mother load in my bag. I guess I'm running mother load. Or I group up with friends and they go, yo, what you got? And they're like, oh, I have this. I'm like, I guess I'm running that. Or I'll like look at the group list and I'll be like, oh, there's a dark flame. I guess I'm doing that, right? Like, but I know for a lot of people, they go, well, I need something from this dungeon. And they're just running that one over and over. And that's where it becomes, I think, more frustrating. Because like if I go in, I'm like, oh, I want to run a 10. And I'll just queue for every 10. Every 10 in the list. Doesn't matter what dungeon. I'm just queuing for all of them, right? But other people, I think, are more specific, and if that's you as well, that then also obviously adds an extra tension point that maybe otherwise wouldn't have existed, right? Because then you're like, well, how do I get into this one dungeon over and over and over again at the rate that I want to get into this one dungeon over and over and over again? We got one last question. We got one last question for the podcast.
Yeah, one last question.
I'll leave this one for Chicken to answer. This is one of his favorite questions, but coming from Grimder. What's the best source of WoW lore, and where should one start? Open to any sources from physical books, ebooks, or audiobooks.
So I would say the best place to do it, and there's typically one in like every city. Honestly, there's probably one in your house. There's probably a couple in your house. You might have to dig through it because there's probably a lot of things in there that you don't want. And that is the trash can.
Oh, that's right. Chicken hates lore. I forgot.
Yeah, I hate lore, absolutely.
All right, so I got answers for you.
This is 100% a you question.
I got answers for you. So there's a good handful of spots. When we're talking books, I'm trying to think where's best to start with the books. Honestly, the WoW books are so interesting because you could just go to any of them. It's not really like a series outside of maybe the there's a couple that are, but most of the time they're just kind of individual books. For broad overviews, the Chronicle books are really nice. The Chronicle books are simple. They're probably a little bit more akin to something you put on your coffee table, but they're cool and they have a lot of lore. I think there's 4 Chronicles. I have one of them. I probably should get the others at some point, but they're really good. They have great information. The War of the Ancients series, I think that's what it was called. Let me just double check the title. Yeah, the War of the Ancients, I think it's a trilogy. That one's really good and gives you a lot of lore in terms of the War of the Ancients, where the Well of Eternity was blown up, how Illidan and Malfurion and Tyrande kind of got their beginnings, a lot of lore into the start of the Burning Legion as well. That one's really cool. because that plays into a lot of future stuff that happens in WoW. So you can always be like, oh, that traces back to that event, which is really awesome. However, my actual suggestions are a little bit different than books. If you're looking to now, if you're like, no, I just want some good reads, honestly, grab any of the WoW books. They're all good reads. Maybe some of the old ones. I think like Chris Messon wrote or something way back when are a little rough, maybe, but and they tend to tell smaller stories. But War of the Ancients is a good one, and the new ones too. Like there's a Sylvanas book. What one did I just read about the dragons? If you're curious, there's one I can't remember the name of it. Sorry, the names are always escaping me, but. Other sources I would suggest if you're just trying to learn lore, Nobbel87 on YouTube is a really good one. Nobbel 87. He's got tons of stuff, like tons and tons and tons of lore videos going through different things. He does them very well. They're entertaining. They're enjoyable. He'll have straight lore. He'll have things that are kind of like theoretical stuff. So that's a great one if you're looking for lore. If you're okay with podcasts, which I'm assuming if you listen to this one, you probably are okay with podcasts.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows?
Shouldn't assume
that's true. Maybe they just like us. Who knows? But there's a old podcast out there. They ended it early, so it doesn't really conclude the whole story of WoW, which is kind of a bummer. And I should also note it does get pretty vulgar at times, with the format of how they do the show. So keep that in mind if that's not something you're okay with. Totally understand. But there's an old podcast out there called Morally Gray. And that one, it is very entertaining. Very entertaining. The first 2 episodes, I think, are a little rough, but then they pick it up pretty well. But they basically go through from the like chronologically from the start of the Warcraft universe, and just move forward from there. And so they get very, 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 very detailed. It's enjoyable to listen to. It's kind of fun. I think the premise is that like one dude is like the lore expert going through everything, and the other dude has never once cared about lore in his life, and now he's trying to learn it from his friend, right? And it's just fun. It's just fun, like kind of listening through that. That one's a really good one if you're looking for like a start to finish. Obviously, you have like other podcasts like Live, Laugh, Lore is a good one. Lore Watch is a good one. Those two, though, kind of are all over the place. Live, Laugh, Lore is a little bit usually more related to whatever's going on in the game currently. Lore Watch, I think, if I'm being honest with you, it's an extension of Blizzwatch, or Blizzard Watch, but they've been around so long that I think they're kind of, to be honest with you, it kind of sounds like they're getting bored of having the same conversations over and over again. And so, I don't know. To me, they get a little too maybe meta in the way that they think about the lore of WoW, and they kind of start interjecting things that really aren't implied in the game. But that is another source. But if you're looking to like just learn lore, like I've never learned the lore before I want to start, Morally Gray is where I would start. Even Chicken would enjoy listening to Morally Gray. That's how you know it's a good podcast. He won't do it, but he would enjoy it.
Maybe.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Nobbel 87 is a great one on YouTube. If you're looking for some stuff there. But yeah, those would be my suggestions. Chronicle books, Nobbel 87 on YouTube, Morally Gray podcast. Again, though, a decent bit of vulgarity in that one, so warning for that. But yeah, dude, I love learning lore. I'll also just sit and read things all the time. The way that I learn lore the most is through like I'll see something or a character or something. I'll be like, oh wait, what is this? What information do we have on it? And then I'll just like go rabbit trail and try and figure out everything I can about said character. But I love the story of WoW. I'm not the most knowledgeable lore person in the world, but I'm probably definitely above average, I think, for WoW players. I really enjoy it. I think there's a great story to this game.
Yeah, no, I think there is too.
Mm-hmm.
I'll listen to it at some point.
But that is everything we have for this week's episode of the Warband. If you want to keep up with Chicken and I mentioned my Twitch channel earlier, but you can also join us on Discord. That's where you can ask questions for the pod or even just have discussions related to things talked about on the podcast. All the links will be below, and we can't wait to talk to you again next week.
Yeah, buddy.